Hello, so this is my 10-week pregnancy update, and it's been a bit of a difficult time because at the beginning of the week I was really fine, took over swimming, had lots of fun. On the Tuesday I worked quite a long day, got a lot of work done. Just finished work and went to the loo, and sorry, this is going to be too much information, so if you don't want this, switch off. But I went to the loo, and when I wiped there was it was a bit pink, and so I was a bit panicked. I called my mum, and then over the next hour I then started to get spotting, so I called, our midwife was on leave, so I called the hospital department, and they said that anything you can do in early stages of pregnancy if you get spotting, is to go into A&E. And we had Ava, and it was about 7:30, so we just packed up in the car and drove to A&E. We'd called my mum beforehand, and she got straight in her car from Staffordshire and drove to London, because obviously we didn't know how it would work out. Got to A&E, saw the nurse after a while, who asked me to do a urine sample. I then went to the loo again, and it had gotten worse. There was more clotting, and then when I had to do my urine sample, it was a bit rosé, and then we had to wait about 4 hours till just after midnight till we could see a doctor. But in the last hour while we were waiting, the bleeding had stopped, so we went in, saw the doctor. She was really nice, tested my urine, and there was nothing, obviously apart from having a bit of blood in it, there was nothing she was concerned about. But obviously, she said she put me in for the early pregnancy unit the next day, so she put me into EPU for the following afternoon. My mum arrived as we were seeing her, so at about 12:30 at night we all left the hospital, got in the car, came home, had cheese toasties and went to bed. Just try to, it's a bit, anyone who's been through that will know you try, like Ava was there, so you can't get too despondent, and there's not much you can really do. What will happen, but it's a pretty tricky drive to the hospital and then sitting in A&E all that time. But Taki and Ava were wonderful, and we played I Spy and Who Am I, and she took a book along and read. And then it was good that my mum was there to be with her. Mummy went in on the Wednesday, so we went to the EPU in hospital, which I'd never been to before, and there were lots of women in the waiting room much earlier on in their pregnancies, and we actually saw the sonographer so quickly, and she was such a lovely person. She was so nice, and within about a second of her having, examining me, she said, "Oh no, there's a heartbeat, the baby's fine." So that was a huge relief. I loved her so much, and she said that she could see away from the baby on the scan there had been like a small bleed, because, again, too much information, but the night before it had gone from a little pink tinge to a bit of blood in my urine and on the towel, but it wasn't enough to fill a towel. It was just a bit of bleeding, and then it had gone to brown, and then it had stopped. So she said, you might get more bleeding, touch wood, I haven't had any more bleeding. And then we came home, and Taki and I went past a really fancy cake shop and bought very expensive cakes to take home to my mum and Ava. So we were just hugely relieved. And then I think what's funny is, like a day later or a couple of days later, I think what we'd been through really started to hit me. I had one night where I just couldn't sleep and felt really overwhelmed by all these feelings, even though so lucky and so relieved that the baby's okay. But I think just you try and keep it together, and then I think sometimes the feelings come back on you, and my morning sickness has been awful. But we kept saying, well, it's a good thing, because while we were waiting, just before I went to EPU, I was so sick, like the worst I've ever been, and we were going, well, surely the baby's still there if you're being this sick. So while my mum's been staying with us, we kind of all thought, I've been saying, I think tea is making me sick, so I've kind of cut tea out, which is a big deal for me. I love my tea. I love it so much. But I'm just having mint in like hot water, and a coffee first thing in the morning. We've got a good coffee place, but we've got some like decaf coffee beans. And then, yeah, so just drinking sparkling water, and mint hot water. But you know, it's okay. And I think little by little, more and more things are making me sick. So you know, things that could previously, like grapes and blueberries and peaches, are now making me sick. And we think, yeah, it's like a very trying to eat fruits and vegetables, but really all that seems to work is carbs and then a tiny bit of red meat, which is not amazing, but we're doing our best with like the diet. You know, just waiting to get to the 12-week scan now. It's really funny because once I'd had that really bad night's sleep and, you know, went for a long walk with my mum, had lots of cuddles, you know, I found that actually if I go for a walk along the Thames, that was one of the best days I had. I don't know whether it's like the ionised air or something. So I do know that if I've also really stopped watching television a lot. Like, I don't know about you, but you know, like the news is just so awful at the moment. It's so depressing, and obviously I'm still trying to be aware, but I think I'm going to stop watching the news before bedtime. It's just like not the stuff I want in my head. And you know, I've still been trying to do a bit of yoga with Ava. She loves doing that with me so much, and you know, just taking it very gently, mainly like breathing and a tiny bit of movement until I'm after 12 weeks now. And still doing like the hypnobirthing to try and, you know, send my brain positive messages and just relax. But it's been great to have my mum here, and like, because I can't even look in the fridge and chop food, it's taken a bit of the pressure off Taki. She's been like a star. She's been making all the meals, she's been playing with Ava, she's been looking after me. She just was so lucky to have my mum. And she's really reassuring. She always says the right things. Yeah, and you probably noticed, like, I'm probably not quite as bubbly as I normally am, but I think it's just working through all those feelings and realising, you know, we all really want this baby really badly. But yeah, you can't, it's nobody's fault when these things happen, they just happen. Hoping it all kind of keeps going in the right direction, and looking forward to going for my 12-week scan. Hoping that morning sickness stops at some point. I feel a bit more normal. And I'm finding as well that, you know, the afternoons are still rough, but now about 11 o'clock at night it's awful. Like it's so swimmy and seasicky in my tummy, and I was interested because I was reading Catherine Graves' book about, you know, contractions, and she tends to talk about more surges or waves. I've just been trying to breathe through these huge waves of nausea, knowing they will pass. I just have to breathe my way through them, but it's quite tough. Like, I think, you know, I've completely forgotten how that felt with Ava. Like, I really don't remember that much of the early stages of pregnancy. It's Taki that remembers more. And he said to me, no, you were really sick with Ava, you were really tired with Ava, you just used to come home from work and go to bed. But for some reason my brain's forgotten it. Like, I don't know whether that's Mother Nature's trick into tricking you into having more children. But yeah, so we're just all trying to do as much as we can. Actually not doing too much, but you know, I've still got to work, still got to be with Ava, still got to kind of like, you know, try and have a normal life. But it's I'm just really grateful that the baby's okay and that we have all this lovely family support. Like, I think when it was going on, I just thought, I'm so lucky to have my family. Like, you know, you can spend so much time thinking, I don't have this, I don't have that, whatever, but just really grateful to have that love and support. And what was funny is, like, on the weekend after all this kind of happened, I got such a strong nesting urge. Poor Taki, I think he was tooth-filled. My mum, a while ago, she was a judge for the Prima Baby Awards, and one of the things she got was like a snooze pod, you know, like one of those beds that you can lower down, the cribs that you can lower down the sides and push up against your bed. And we'd been storing it, and I got it out and I scrubbed it with soap and water, and I washed all the me and my mum, we washed all the covers and we made sure it was spotless, and you know, trying to think about how we were going to have to rearrange both our bedroom and Ava's bedroom to kind of accommodate for the new baby, which I'm not going to get too into yet, it's a bit early, but I just have such a need to do that. And then I ended up cleaning out, or making tacky work with me to clean out all the cellars and go down the tip, and I don't know, that's kind of past now, that feeling of just wanting to get something done and scrub and feel a bit more prepared. I bet Tacky's hoping it doesn't come back anytime soon. It made me realise as well how much prep work we will have to do for the baby cups, and because it's a February baby, thinking that, you know, you never know what the weather's going to be like in London, so thinking, you know, when we have good weather and you kind of can put things outside and get things done, it's good to get done. I got the cot out, the storage as well, not put together, and I scrubbed that, and I said to Tacky, oh, well, you might have to repaint this cot. He did not look impressed, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, and I found lots of baby things that I'd forgotten that we had in our cellars that are attached to the flat, and my mum's taken loads of the clothes home with her, and she's going to wash them and sort them for me. She's got more space in her house, but I think also, like, she's really good at that sort of thing, so that'll be nice. Like, when I go and see her, we can sort through everything. Obviously, like, it depends on the gender a little bit. I mean, if we have a boy, there are things that Ava's like, I'll put him in anyway. I'm not bothered if he wears pink, but you know, it'll be interesting. Funny enough, like, we've got a lot of older baby things, but a lot of the newborn things, my cousin had a baby a year before us, and then gave us a lot of the newborn things, which we then returned to them because they had more children. And you know, I can remember at the time thinking, who needs 17 baby grows? This seems excessive, but actually we've got through them all. So I'll have to do a shopping list and that sort of thing. It'll be really nice when we get into second trimester and I can start doing more of that stuff. So yes, speak to you next week for 11 weeks, and hopefully that will have been a good week.